Boker Tov, Shavua Tov. Today's Daf is Daf Membav and Mציעא. As we learn for Achenu Kol Beis Yisrael, I'm assuming Batzar Rashivya, including all of us, right? Everybody's Batzar is here. All right. So now the Gemara yesterday had a machlok between Rav and Levi. Does a matbeya make chalitza? What is chalitza? Chalitza is a barter where you can exchange. It's a kind of a kinyan where you exchange one item for another. I give you something, you give me something. Okay. So as soon as I give you the item, we agree on a deal. So we just had this with the rabbi, with the showing the chametz. The rabbi gives us his handkerchief or his pen, whatever, and in return we give him the rights to sell our chametz, etc. Okay, so that's chalipim. The question is, can you do chalipim with a coin? So there's a machlokas about that. One says you can, but the predominant opinion is that you cannot do chalipim with a coin. Meaning, if I give you a coin in order to get your item back, it doesn't work that way. Why? Because when you give a coin, his kavanah is on not on the metal, but on the value, on the image. And since that can be easily retracted, the government can say this coin is no longer valid. We got to use new ones. Therefore, the rabbi said you can't do chalipin with a coin. That's the question: can a coin affect chalipin or not? So the predominant opinion is that it cannot. And we had discussion yesterday, and then we tried to bring proofs one way or another. And the Gemara here on the 11th line on Membav where we left off, continues this discussion. Afra Papa, even Rav Papa Hadar Bey, right? We say ain't me chalipin, and first we wanted to say Rav Papa held maybe that there is chalipin, but we said no. Afra Papa Hadar Bey, he also retracted and said that you cannot that a coin cannot affect chalipin. It cannot affect chalipin. So we had yesterday, where was Rav Papa first brought down? Gemara tried to bring a kasha one way or another. He says, Rav Papa, my time he brought the reason why nasa chalipin. And then he says, no, feel under chalipin, nevertheless, chalipin. You have a pair. In other words, that the question was that even though mabeya cannot be made chalipin, but you can use it as an exchange, meaning the item when as we'll see on tomorrow's daf, the question is whose item goes to whom. So we're going to come out that it's the kona. The predominant opinion again is that the kona, the one who acquires it. So example, when we're, let's say, giving our chametz or the rights to the chametz to the rabbi, he's acquiring our rights and he gives us something in return. He gives us something in return that. So he says even the Papa wanted to say the coin cannot affect the chalipin. In other words, if I give you a coin, it doesn't work that way that I acquire your item, but it can be acquired with chalipin. Just like Paris with Nachman, the Gemara said that, so Gemara wanted to say that, and the Gemara came out that no, that it doesn't work either way. The coins cannot be affected it cannot affect the chalipin or be exchanged for the chalipin. Okay, so Rav Papa also retracted. Rav Papa Hadar why? Rav Papa, the Gemara says in the 11th, 12th line on the page. How about they trace off? There's a famous story. Rav Papa had 12,000 dinars bechazoi in that place, bechazoi, that somebody owed him that money. He had that money there, and he wanted to acquire it, but he wanted to get it back. But the person holding it for him only wanted to give it to Rav Papa himself. He didn't want to give it to a messenger who might lose the money on the road, and then he'd be responsible for it anyway. So the only way he could get it was if Rav Papa gave it to somebody else. Who was it? Somebody else? Rav Shmuel Baracha was on his way to Bechazoi. So Rav Papa gave him the 12,000 shekels, gave it to him. Aknin, he gave it to him. Agav asif vesa as agav, meaning attached to his the threshold of his house. Meaning, he gave him a piece of his house, like a blatot, one of the blatot, or a piece of stone in his house. He gave him that's karka, something attached to the ground. And together with that, he was kona agav. That's how you can acquire. Remember, kinyan agav. If I give you karka, I can give you my car with the karka. Make a kinyan on the karka, you can get the car with the karka, even though the car's not on the karka. That's how kinyan agav works. So that's how he gave it to him. And why did he give it to him that way? Why didn't he just give him an exchange? Why didn't he tell Rav Shmuel Baracha, I'll have to give you the money because the guy who's holding my money doesn't want to give it. He only wants to give it to the owner. So how do I give it to you? I'll tell you what, let's do a chalipin. Give me a handkerchief and I'll give you the money. Didn't work that way. Why? Because when it comes to giving money, money doesn't work. Money cannot affect the barter. Remember, Rav Papa explained yesterday the svara of because your mind is on the coinage, and the coinage can be canceled by the government. But then Rav Papa want to say even though the whole ein matbeya cannot make the chalipin because the guy who gets the money is thinking about the money, the value, not the metal itself. But it could be acquired with chalipin, even though it can't affect the chalipin. But if you gave something else, if you gave him a handkerchief in return for money, that would work. But then he was choser because Rav Papa himself had 12,000 shekels, 12,000 dinars. And he wanted to give it to Shmuel Nachman in order to be able to collect it from him because Shmuel was going to that place to get the money, and the person holding the money would not give it to him unless he was the owner. So he gave it to him with the kinyan agav based on his house. He gave him a piece of his house, and with that he got the money. But he didn't give it to him with a barter. Why not? Because it wouldn't work. And he was so happy. Papa was so happy when Shmuel Baruch came back with the money. He also, when he came back, he went all the way to Tabach city. He went a far distance just to greet him. So that's the idea here that not only is matbeya cannot affect chalip, but ein matbeya nikne b'chalipim. That was the machlokas we said yesterday. We started with Rav and Levi. That Rav Levi chadar matbeya nasa chalipim, chadar ein matbeya nas chalipim. Can a matbeya make chalipin or not? Not only can it not make chalipin, it also cannot be acquired by a chalipin, as we see from the stories for Papa. Not only do we have Rav and Levi, one of them said that ein matbeya nas chalipin. So all these rabbis hold that a matbeya, a coin, cannot make a barter, cannot affect the barter. Esvei, Rabba, so yes, in this kasha. Haresha, how you chamarav tovin, also b'shuk. Person had some workers. He had a donkey driver and workers, and they were demanding their paycheck in the market. And he didn't. The owner did not have them. Did not have any. The balabais didn't have any money with him. Amal Shulchan said to the money changer, "Pay me b'diramos. Give me a dinner's worth of money, and ba'farsim, and I'll pay them off. I'll supply them." And I'll give you a good dinner and trisas, a little more than that, like a small ma'ah, Rashi says. I'll give you a little extra from my house. Now listen to this, right? He says, give me $100 now, and I'll give you $101 that I have in my house. Is that not ribit? Is that not interest? So if he has money at home, you're allowed to. Why? Because that's like saying an exchange. Let's say I say, you know what? I have an old $100 bill, but I see you have a crisp new one. Okay, give me $100. Give me the 100 crisp, and I'll give you 101 of my old coins or whatever. Let's say I'll give you 101, or let's say give me $1 and I'll give you 101 pennies that I have at home. Can you do that? Is that rebit? No? It's not rebit. It's not rebit because rebit is only if you're paying money for time value, for holding it for a period of time. Here you're doing it right by makom. It's like an exchange. If you go and you go to money changer, you give him $1 and he gives you 3.5 shekels, and then he gives a 3.89 to somebody else, whatever. It's not rebit. That's an exchange. So if he has the money at home, he says, "Listen, I have some money at home. Can you just lend me the money now, and I'll give it back to you? I'll give you a little extra." That's mutter. If he doesn't have the money at home, then it's also because then it's like rebit because you're giving. I don't have money at home. Give me the money now, and I'll pay you back later on a little bit extra. That's already interest. That's rebit. Wait a minute. If you say that a matbeya cannot affect chalipin, what is this? This is chalipin, right? You give me $100, and I'll give you back 101 from my house. That's what he's saying. But if you say that you cannot make chalipin with money, so then it's a loan, and the loan should be also. I'm giving back to you. Ishtik. So when he asked him this kasha, as Rabba asked the kasha of Ula. Ula was one of these rabbis who said that ain't matbeya nas chalipin. Here's mashma that matbeya could make chalipin, because if matbeya cannot affect chalipin, cannot affect an exchange, an immediate exchange, and he's giving you, as soon as the money changer gives him, let's say $100, he owes him the other $101 that he has at home. But if you can't affect an exchange with money, right? You can't make an exchange like that. So then it's a loan, and a loan would be also because you're giving ribbit. Ishtik. So Ula didn't have an answer. Amalei, Rav Abba himself, who asked the kasha, said to Ula, maybe we're not talking about here cash at all. Maybe when he exchanged, it wasn't cash, it was simply metal, like asimonium, like blanks that weren't stamped yet with an image. There's no coinage on it. There's no they don't have an image, a form on them, so that it's not a coin. The paper, and both we're talking about here, they're both produce. Anything which is not a coin and not a kli is like produce, meaning whether it's animals, whether it's metal, whatever it is, that's produce. That's why it works with chalipin. Amalei. So we'll say you're right. That's not what it is. Ain. It is. That's really why it worked over here. It worked over here not because of that it was a money exchange. Money cannot affect a barter, as we said before, because your mind is on the coinage, not on the exchange. But over here was simply metal. They were exchanging metal for one another. And you see it as a proof also. Tony Yafa Dinar Vitrise. Look, Tony Dinar Yafa Vitrise. Shmamina. And he said to him, listen, give me $100 and I'll give you a good $101, some nice crisp new coins that I have at home. That would have said dinar yafa. I'll give you a nice dinner. But he said yafa dinner, like the value of a dinner. So he's talking about metal. He's talking about simply like asimonim blanks, and that's why it worked over here as chalipin. So again, we're maintaining that ein not beya nasa chalipin and also ein not beya nikneva chalipin. Not only that, but over here where it does work, it works because it's not a matbeya. It's not a coin at all. It's simply a blank. Rav Ashi says, really, the truth is that you could say that it's for the value of the money and this metal, but you don't have to say this answer that it's not, it's chalip. Bedam means it's really a purchase with money, meaning it's not chalipin, it's not a barter and exchange, one item for another, one piece of metal for another. It is pieces of metal, but it's talking about its value. Keeping the islay, because since he has it at home, we said before, and we're going to have it later on, that if you say lend me money for a period of time, but I have the money. My son is coming home from the bank with the money, or I have it's in my safe, and I don't have a key to the safe. That's okay. That's not ribbit. The Rabbanan where not goes there. Not goes if it's not coinage. If it's here like paputas, if it's pieces of metal. So the answer in both cases is that it's not coins. We're not talking about coins. We're talking about pieces of metal. The first answer was that it's pieces of metal. So it's like I'm exchanging one piece of metal for another piece of metal. I'm giving you a little bit more metal later on. Okay, that's all right. I can do that. Right? You can do. I'm giving you better metal or whatever. I'm exchanging metal, and therefore barter like that works. I can exchange one item for another. I can give you a shirt and you give me a pair of pants. That's okay. It could do that way. Rashi says you don't even say it was chalipin. It was metal, but with metal we had before chita b'chita. Remember, we said you shouldn't borrow a bushel of wheat for another bushel of wheat. Why? Because the value might go up, and the rabbi said that's similar to rebit. So here also. But if you have the wheat at the time, it's okay. If I say, listen, let me borrow a bushel of wheat. I have some wheat back in my house. I don't have it with me. Can I borrow? That's okay. That Rabbanan where not goes in that case. Same thing over here. It was metal for metal. Given this place, since I have it at home, Nasika Omer, let's as if he said, lend me this bushel until my son comes home, until I find the key. So either way, we're
Didn't
not.
The guy say, "Give me most, give me money"? Im yeshli.
No, it doesn't mean that. Lolam dumb. Over here, dumb does not mean give him money. That's going to be another case we're going to have later on. Over here, it's speaking about where he told him that it's not a case of chalipah, it's a case of money. Take a look at Rashi, 7 lines from the bottom of the page. Rashi Malolo Beprutos, he could have come at Midiktani Yafa dinner. It is we're not talking about coins. It's not because of chalipin. Shafilu Hisnim Betos Damam. Damam means I bought it from you. I'm gonna give me this and I'll give me $100 here, and I'll pay you back later on. Let me buy $100 from you, and I'll give you $101 later on. Ain't come ribbit agonatla. It's not ribbit of waiting for money. Shafilu, even if it was a loan, and we're talking about not coins, but it's talking about metal. If you can give more, like we had the case before. When it comes to again, ribbit menatorah is only I give you $100, you pay me back in a week $110. That's clear ribbis for the value of for the advantage of you holding on to the money for a period of time. You're giving me more. That's clear ribbis. The rabbis were gozer. You shouldn't even give wheat, a bushel of wheat, and pay me back later on with a bushel of wheat. Why? Because the bushel of wheat may go up in value, and it's like ribbit. So that's Xerid Rabbanan. However, if I have the wheat at home, I say, listen, you give me a bushel of wheat. I have some at home right now. I just not home right now. I'll give it back to you later on. That's okay, because since I have it, it's not like the case of chita b'chita. The Rabbanan were not gozer in that case. Rashi brought it down already. We're going to have it in a Mishnah later on. Rashi brought it down on yesterday's daf, rather on Friday's daf.
It's Friday's
daf. Rashi said over there, Shalom Asayla Bagabi Sav Satanan, Aval Omer Lahaven Ad Sheva Bni Ad Shoed Emsalaftech She'elu Bi Yodo. It's in a sense Niknim Lamalva over Shuso Hukra. The Ribbis Sab Sad Rabban. It's only the Sab, meaning a bushel for a bushel of wheat is only an Isser Rabban. But I got no gozer. They weren't gozer in that case, and that's what you mean over here.
The only thing is that the guy said, "Tell him Mos, I should pay the workers." He told the Shulchani, "Give me."
So it's
not
he's paying
the Shulchani with
what
is he paying?
Right.
What is he paying? The Parsimim with what? With metal?
Right. So he didn't say money. He said, "Tainly bedinner Mos, give me a dinner Mos for Afresim," and he really wasn't saying trisos. He that's what the Gemara. That's how the case works out. Give me money. Give me cash. But that's what he says. But at the end of the day, we say that's not the case. It's not a case of that's a case of where he bought it. He bought it, and it's an issue of chalipin. If it would be Mos, then it would really be an issue of chalipin. It would be Mos nikta b'chalipin if he did it with Mos that way. But the answer was no. We were talking about prutos shanu. Like there's no the whole case was speaking about Mos and the choshesh shehem adayin lo tzura. The money that he was talking about was not real money. It wasn't coins. Like Rashi says, Mos shon nechoshes shehem adayin shelo b'tzura. But it was like a simon. It was a blank copper coins. When he said over here coins, he doesn't mean literally coins. He meant like coins, and that's why it works. Either with chalipin, and chalipin coins, chalipin does work because it's not coins, it's not real money, or because it was simply like a loan, or he advanced the money as a purchase, which is okay if he has it at home. Because he said, I have it at home, and that's why it works. But it's not coins at all. It's not coins. Both ways, it's not a coin. The answer in both ways, either Rav Ashi, who says that it's like a purchase, or the first answer, that's chalipin, but we're not talking about coins at all. We're talking about blanks like asimonium that are not real coins. Another proof, Tashma, kol nasa dam ba'acher, anything which is used as payment for something else, kivin shezachazen is chayv zeh b'chalipin. Okay, what does that mean? Anything which is used as to pay as payment for something else, if one guy acquired it, the other guy gets the exchange. So what does that mean? Kol nasa b'chalipin ba'acher, what is that? Is that matbeh? It's like coins. And we've been arguing all along that ain't not nasa chalipin, except according to either Rav or Levi. One of them holds that nasa chalipin, but all these other rabbis over here, Ula, Ravasi, Rav Archana, we'll see Rav Huna later on also, ain't not nasa chalipin, that a coin cannot affect an exchange. Here it's mashma, a coin can affect an exchange because kol nasa dam ba'acher, anything which is used as payment for something else. As soon as you acquire, one person acquired the money, the other guy gets chalipin. So you see, my bad, it does make chalipin. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean coins. It means anything which is assessed for somebody else. Assessed meaning he owed him money and he assessed it and turned that into a product. Since one person got one, in other words, we're talking about a real exchange of items, of merchandise. We're not talking about or fruits, whatever, but not cash. It means anything which is assessed. When one person got the item, the first item, the other guy gets the other item. It's Mustavra way because it says he gives an example. The case goes on. Ketzad. Then they tell you the Sefer there says Ketzad. Hechlef shor b'por. I exchange my ox for your cow. Ochamor b'shor, or a donkey for a shore. Okay, so we're not talking about cash. We're talking about items. We're talking about fruits. Anything which is not a kli and not money is called fruits or product, whatever. Shema mino, you see from there. So wait a minute. So when you're having when you ask the kasha, Tashma, he said anything which is used money for something else. Once one person gets the first item, if I exchange my cow for your ox, so as soon as you get the cow, I automatically get the ox. So that's the case. This case. So what was your havamina about money? Well, mighty salakadai to mikara matbeya my case. If you said that kol nisham dam ba'acher mean kol nasa ba'acher means actual cash, so how does that fit in with the case of Ketzad, Hichlef Paro, Bashar Baparo, or Chamar Bashar? Obviously, that's not money. Hachikamer. Uperinami Abdi Chalipin. It means to say this. Anything which is used as payment, which is cash in our Havamina, before we said no, it means as an assessment, but it means in the Havamina we meant that it meant cash. We thought that it meant cash. Hachikamer. And not only can cash be used, but also Payray also can make chalipin. Product can also make chalipin. Product or merchandise. Case it. So, okay, fine. That's That's fine if you say the Pesach. We're going to have machlokas tomorrow. What's the source of chalipin? Rus, right? It's called Shalafish Nalu. You take off his shoe. He made a deal. Boaz made a deal with the guy. Okay, I take over the family stuff, and he gave him his shoe. Okay, he gave him his shoe as an exchange. So there's a machlokas between Rav Nachman and Rav Sheshes says it has to be a kli. A kli meaning it's got to be a vessel of some sort of garments, a shoe, a knife, pen, a handkerchief, anything which can be called a kli. So Rav Nachman says only that works, but not peiros. So anichal Rav Sheshes to Omer peirei avde chalipin. Rav Nachman Omer kli ein aval peirei lo. It's got to be a kli, not product. It's got to be dafka a kli, something a kli. An animal is not a kli. Aval peirei lo avde chalipin. My case, how do you explain that? And he's like, you could say, fine, okay, money in the Havamina. We thought it meant money. We said, no, it doesn't mean money. Money cannot be used as barter at all. Again, cannot affect the barter and cannot be used in return. You cannot, if you're giving me money and I'm giving you an animal, I can't say that if you took the animal, I get the money, even though Mashiach does work and then you owe me the money, but it doesn't work as Chalipim. Okay, so we came out with, but in the Havamina we said money does work and also peiros work. So what do you mean? How does peiros work according to Rav Sheshes? In my case, what's the case of Kesed over here? It's got to be a kli. It's got to be a shoe, a pen, something, an item, a computer, a gemara, a book, something. It's got to be a kli. It can't be an animal. In my case, yesh damim shehein kechalipin. There is money which sometimes can be like chalipin. How so? Kesed hichlif demei shor b'para. What happened over here? I wanted to buy your ox. Okay, so I said, okay, how much is your ox? $100. Fine. Okay, I take your ox and I owe you $100. And then I say, you know what? I have a cow. That's worth about $100. Would you take that instead of the money? Yeah, you'll take the cow. So that's the demei shor b'para, meaning you'll take the cow for the value of the ox. Oh, demei chamor b'shor. Okay, that would work. Okay, well, why would that work? Why would that work in that case? It's also like, you're giving the money. It's still based on money. Isn't that exchange of money? Meaning this again. The case is I want to acquire your ox, right? And I'll pay you $100 for it. After I take the ox, I say instead of the $100, would you take the cow? And you agree to that. Once you agree to that, the cow's yours. So it worked like Chalipin, even though it was sort of like the money. Without doing Mashiach on the cow. Exactly. My time of Nachman. The answer is like this. I'll tell you why. The Omar, what's the reason why that works over here? In other words, we're saying, how does this work? What's the case of Pesach Hiflif Shor B'Para? Shor B'Para, according to Rav Nachman, that can't be Chalipin. Why? Because it's got to be a Kli. And that doesn't work. The answer of Nachman holds like Rabbi Yochanan, the Omer Dvar Torah Mos Konos. This whole idea that we talked about, we mentioned on Friday that there's a machlokes we're going to have between Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish. Rabbi Yochanan says, Mina Torah, you could acquire with money, just like by Hegdish, where we find V'nosan HaKesef HaKamlo. If I give you cash, I own the bread, I own the cow, cash works as a sale. Except the rabbi said, don't do that. It doesn't work. You need Mashiach. So that I shouldn't say, oh, you know what? You paid me cash for it, but it burnt up meanwhile. And this was for Fitecha Ba'aliyah. Okay, so but Mina Torah, it does work. The answer is why does he have to have Mashiach? That's why you have to make Mashiach. So make sure that the purchaser doesn't get messed up, doesn't get cheated, because he's going to give cash. And the owner is giving him product, will say, oh, you paid me last week, but meanwhile it burnt down. He's not going to bother trying to save it because the deal is final already. Rabbanan only goes, you have to Mashiach by a regular sale. This is a strange case. I say again, I want to buy your ox for $100. We agree. Shake hands, and I pull your ox. I owe your ox. Now I say, instead of the $100, I have a paro. You want the paro, and you agree. Once you agree, the paro is yours already at that point. So that's a milso shchich. Milso shchich goes Rabbanan, and this is a kind of a sale where the money itself works, meaning I paid for it. I pay for it with the paro, and that's I've changed the $100 into the paro. You've affected at that point. Take a look at Rashi. Rashi Kate said, right, even with the Gos Avach. For this is money, $100. And I made Mashiach on the shore, but it's Chayav Lomas, I owe you the money. Listen, I got a paro worth that. Shani knows the shore. Then he also Yacha, they both agreed. The Kibbalah and the acceptance, Chayav Balapar, Lasas Loas Para. I have to give you the par, but that I assess somebody else who knows the man, instead of I set this up, in other words, that the purchase was made effectively by the money, and as soon as I gave you this, as soon as I agreed to give it to you, so it's like I've given you the money, and you're chayav on anything that happened to it. So that's the idea over here. That that's what Rav Nachman would explain this case. Case that hichlef shor b'para doesn't mean a straight exchange of shor b'para, because that's not real chalipin. It was really a sale. It was a sale. How was it a sale? I bought your shore and I paid for it with the mishra. That's what it means. Kamar back in the Gemara, my case. That often kamar yesh dam shein kechalipin. It's like chalipin. Case that hichlef demei shor b'para. I gave you the money of the shore for the para, or demei chamor b'shore, whatever the case was there. My term Nachman, because Rav Nachman holds really the money itself would be kona. Reasoning just Mashiachas b'shem zecha milsa shchich goes rabbanim, milsa shchich goes rabbanim. So over here, effectively, when we agreed and I gave you effectively the money for that, they weren't gozer, and my giving you the para means that the value of the para, it's like you've given it to you and it's yours even though you didn't make a mashiach on it yet. Milsa shchich goes rabbanim. U'v'reish lakish domer mashiach mufreshes min Torah. According to Resh Lakish, listen to this. Resh Lakish says that no, money doesn't work. Money doesn't work to make the kiyum in Torah. Mashiach says nasan yad liyad. So it's going to be learned from there that Mashiach, that money does not make an acquisition. It works on karka, but it doesn't work on metalflim. So he says Mashiach is first in the Torah. It's not exer drabanan. According to Rabbi Yochanan, it's exer drabanan. Torah, money can make the acquisition. If I go and I buy a loaf of bread and I give the guy the money, I own the bread already. I don't have to make a mashiach on the bread or on the item or the cow or whatever it was. That's good. Except the rabbi said you have to make mashiach. So you shouldn't come out. But according to Shlakish, mashiach is the only way to make a kiyam metal is mashiach. You can't. It doesn't work with money. So how is he going to explain this? Hanichi sounds like Avsheshes feels like Avsheshes that what? That Mechalipin can work on Paris also, because he doesn't learn out from Shalafish. Now it's got to be Dafka, a Kli, like a shoe, even Paris also. Fine, he also like Avsheshes, but Tavsk Avsheshes. Aliyah Rav Nachman. If he also like Rav Nachman, that it's got to be a Kli. Domer Perilab Bechalipin. You can't make Chalipin with the fruit or with produce. Umat Be'alo Kani, as we've said, that you can't affect the Chalipin with Matbeya. How is he going to explain this brisa? You have to extend the details like of Sheshes that bartering can be done with payers. It doesn't have to be a cleat. Tanan, kol metalton kon is asset. Any metalton can acquire one another. Even a sack full of money with a sack full of money. Now that's the money. That's the money. So how does chalip? This is kon is asset with chalip, and even though this is cash, we're talking about cash which is not really good anymore. It was canceled by the government. One was canceled by the local government, but it could be good in other medinos. And one was canceled by the king. It's not good in any medinos, but it's still used surreptitiously. It's used in private. Once where the king had canceled the Medina, one only this particular Medina within the Malchus canceled it. You have to tell me both of them. In other words, one with Kisma Mos, in both cases, the exchange worked because they're not money. Like we said before in Amman Aleph, it's like metal. It's like a simonim. There you can't have an exchange. Just money cannot affect an exchange. But this is not really money anymore. Why do you have to tell me both these cases? One where one's called Anka and one's called a Nigra, where one was canceled by the government, one was canceled by the local authorities. Once the government is canceled, once the king is canceled, it doesn't circulate at all. And so that's not points. But if it was only forbidden, let's say in New York State, not in New Jersey, the Sagula Medina Acheres that works in New Jersey, is still An Avaya cannot, not only cannot affect Chalipin, cannot nasa Chalipin, it's also not Nikneb Chalipin. If you tell me only that state, in the state, it doesn't work even Bitsina. Even privately, people don't use it at all. It was canceled by the state. Malchus, where it was canceled by the whole government, the government king canceled the whole thing. The cycle of Bitsina, it still works, Bitsina. You can still, people still use the coins privately. Is still considered Be'eh, not Be'eh, the complete. But strictly, they were telling you in both cases, if it's canceled either by the Medina or by the Malchus, it's not a coin anymore, and therefore a Chalipin does work on it, both for affecting the barter and for being acquired by the barter.
So if I have a cow and you have an ox, okay, and I say, I like your ox and I'll pay you my cow.
According to Rav Sheshes, it works anyway. You could just make an exchange of a cow for an ox because payers work.
But not for every.
No.
I mean, not cooling alma.
No. Rav Sheshes, according to Rav Sheshes, a straight exchange or a shore for ox, that's a barter, works even on payers. According to Rav Nachman, it says barter only works where it was affected with a kli.
Right. It's
got to be a kli. It can't be money, and it can't be payers. So he'll say that it'll only work in this manner. Where I agreed to pay for it originally. It was a sale. Right? I made a Mashiach on the shore. And then I told you that instead of paying for it, I also have a par. Would you take that? So that's an exchange, but it's not really an exchange. It's really
a straight trade wouldn't work.
A straight trade wouldn't work, according to Rav Nachman. Correct. It wouldn't work. Amar Rabba, the last line on the page. Amar Rabba Arfuna. Machor li be'elu. A guy comes and says, listen, I got a bunch of coins here. I got a bag of coins. Sell me that, let's say that shore for this bag. And you don't know how much is in the bag. The Macholi Be'elu Kana. It works. The Yesh Levano. So it works. Now, why does it work? It's cash. We just said it doesn't work with coins, right? We're going to ask that kasha. Macholi Be'elu Kana. The Yesh Levano. Not only is it a good Kenyan, and this barter does work, but also it's still it's a regular sale, and there's a case of what's no, it's fraud. Meaning if the value was more than less than a 6, if the difference in the value was of its real value of manufacturer's suggested retail was more or less than a 6 more, over a 6 more, or over a 6 less, they can go back on the deal. So he explains, Kana afagad lo masha. You're a Kona, even though you didn't make a kinyan on the cow, let's say. The kivin lo covet, since he wasn't particular about how much money was Kana, apparently it works with Chalipin, even though it's money. But since he wasn't makbid about how much it was, it works, right? The chi Chalipin dummy, it says that. Kana afagav lo mashach, the kivin lo covet, since he was not makbid, Kana, it works. The chi Chalipin, it's like Chalipin because he didn't care about the money. We'll see that. Rashi points out already, yes, Akasha. But there's still fraud here. There could be fraud. In other words, it's a candidate for a fraud. The macholi be'elu, because he said, sell me for these, meaningless. If I just tell you, listen, I like your shirt, I'll give you my pants. We don't care much. We're not so makbid about, your shirt and my pants, whatever they're worth, maybe one's worth $1 more, $1 less. It's okay. We agree to that. No problem with that at all, right? There's no problem with that. You can't say, oh no, that it was worth a 6 more or a 6 less. There's no, it's not a sale. It's an exchange. Okay, that works. Over here, we're saying it's a sale in that there is no, but it also works. Even though there's coins. Why does that work? It works because he wasn't makbid. So how? Because he said, sell me for this. So that means there is no too. That's the first opinion. That's Rabba Amrafuna. Okay. Rav Abba Amrafuna. That was Rabba. Rabba Amrafuna said that. Rav Abba Amrafuna, not Rabba, but Rav Abba said the name of Rafuna. Macharli be'elu kind of anal of a no. He says it works. It's a kinyan, but there's no no there. Now, what's pshat? Shita daman be'in makbaleim. If he's using this money and he's not makbid how much it is, you said if it worked as gives him the money and he's not makbid how much is there. He says here's a sack full of money, a bag full of money. He said it works. It's like chalipin. Okay. What happens if it's chalipin or makbid alayim? What happens if it's chalipin but he is makbid? He's particular about how much money is there. What's the case there? Here you're saying because he's not makbid, he says okay, I'll take the bag of cash and I'll give it to you. So you say there's a machlokas whether there's ono or not, whether it's a sale, but everybody agrees it's like chalipa, and that's why it works. And he wasn't makbid about it. Since he wasn't makbid, it like works like chalipa. So the Gemara says, what happens if he would be makbid? What happens if he's makbid? But he wants to be, he's particular that he wants to get his value. He wants to get his money's worth. Toshma, or his items worth. Let's say a man was in the street and he was holding on to his cow. Well, he's standing there in the shuk. The other guy says, why do you have your cow over here? He says, so he answered, I'm looking for a donkey. I wanted to make an exchange. So the guy said, yes, I've got a donkey. Let's make a deal. Shani knows Nucha, and I'll make a deal with the donkey. How much do you want for your cow? $100. How much do you want for your donkey? $100. Good. Mashach Baal Chamor Sapara. Right? The Baal Chamor made a Mashiach on the para. Okay. So you think what? That should work, right? But what happened was the Baal Chamor pulled the para, but before the Baal Para got a chance to get the Chamor, the Chamor died. So what do you say? Lo kana Baal Chamor Sachapara. The Baal Chamor who made the Mashiach first doesn't get it. Why doesn't he get it? It's chalipin. Should have worked immediately. Shmamina chalipin and makbid and lokana. Because he was makbid, he wanted to get a certain value. He didn't get his value. He was makbid. I said, yeah, if it's worth $100, I'll take it. But he didn't get a chance to get it. He's lokana. So what do you see over here? That chalipin and makbid doesn't work. Amarav atu chalipin b'shuftin eskin. What kind of chalipin are we talking? We're talking about nidis over here. Maybe when it comes to the rabbi giving you a handkerchief and you're giving him $1,000 worth of chametz, there you know what you're doing because you're doing it for a certain purpose. But normally, if chalipa, you want to make an exchange over here, I'm not going to give you a cat. You're not going to give me a cow for a cat. Obviously they're worth a substantial difference. Are we talking about idiots over here? The low copy that makbid about, they're just exchanging things without any thinking about what the value is. When you want to make an exchange, you want a fair exchange. Whenever you make chalipin, people are makbid, and they work, and it works anyway. You can't say that it didn't work. Why didn't the chalipin work over there? Because he was makbid about the value and he didn't get it. Well, any chalipin, normally chalipin, people are makbid. If I exchange my cow for your donkey, I know what it's working. Do you know why it didn't work over here? You know why the Baal Chamor, the Baal Para did not get the Chamor? Right? What do we say? Who died? The Baal Chamor as a para. The Baal Chamor didn't get the para because his Chamor died. Even though what? Even though the Baal Para, the Baal Chamor had made a kinyan on the para first, right? Why doesn't it work? So listen, I'll give you my donkey, but in return, I want a cow and a lamb. I want a cow and a lamb. I want two things. He made a Mashiach on the para, right? But he didn't get the lamb yet. That's not a good Mashiach. That's why it didn't work. But if we made a deal, we know that your chamor is worth $100, my par is worth $100. It's a fair exchange. As soon as one of us made Mashiach, the other one acquires it right away. And that's why when the chamor died and the Baal Para, right? The Baal Chamor had acquired the para before, but he didn't acquire the para and the tle. And therefore, that's why it didn't work, because he said, I'll give you my chamor for a par tle. He made a kinyan of the par, but he didn't make a kinyan of tle. He didn't make a full kinyan, didn't make a full mashiach. That's why it didn't work.
Agav one without the other?
No, agav only works on karka. We'll see only on karka. Kinyan agav is when you make a kinyan on the land. You can't. In other words, the rule is that the chasim she'ein lehem achrayis niknin in the chasim she'esh achrayis the kesef shtar chazaka, right? But it's got to be. So that wouldn't work. So and over here, it wasn't even done as that sort of. It was done as a barter, and neither one of them made a full kinyan. Had the Baal Chamor made a Mashiach on the para and the tle, then even if the Chamor then died a minute later, it would still be a valid deal, because at the time they did it, they did it. So
the money in between.
Yeah.
The case here
right.
$100. All right, so take the par because it's worth $100.
Yeah, but
here it's a straight.
It's a straight trade. They both agreed. In other words, a barter is normal. A normal barter is not like with the rabbi. Nobody cares about what this was. A normal barter is listen. Yeah, my car for your car, or my suit for your car, where we know what the value is. So you said Chalipin of Makbalayan, my Chalipin of Makbalayan, every Chalipin is Makbalayan. And as every Chalipin, we're not talking, Chalipin, everybody is Makbid and still it works. The reason you say over here, you can't say that it works over here with Chalipin because he wasn't Makbid. By every Chalipin, they are Makbid and it still works. So what's the cane over here? They'll have them Shichem Aliyah, right? So then why didn't it work? What about this case, our case of where he bought him a bag of money? We'll talk about that. So he said, here's a bag of money. Sell me for this bag of money. It works. And this one. So let's go back to this. Isn't that not in that If I give you a bag of money and I say, sell me your cow for this bag of money, and it's not clear how much money is there, we say it works, and there is no. Okay, it's machlok, is it or no? Because I said sell it to me. But the fact is it's cash. So how does that work? Just because I give you the bag of money, again, why should it work? Would it work because matbeya? I exchange my coins for your cow. That's matbeya. How does me'ev nasa chalipin? Yeah, so that's the problem over here. And Rafuna said, even though you didn't make a kinyan on the animal, it's like chalipin. But chalipin, this is matbeya. Is that a proof that matbeya nasa chalipin? Look, Rafuna Stover Rabbi Yochanan. The answer is this. Rafuna also Rabbi Yochanan. The Amar Dvar Torah Mos Konos. Minatorah, remember, Minatorah money does acquire, make an acquisition, just like we find by Kochim. Why do we say Mashiach? You need Mashiach. Money doesn't work. The Rabbi said, so I shouldn't come and tell you after you paid me for it, your stuff burned down. Where the Rabbanan make a Gzeira by a normal Kenyan. I'm buying something, you want to make a Mashiach. This is not a milsa shchicha that you would take a bag of money, which is undefined. That's a milsa shchicha. They didn't make a gzera there. Therefore, in this case, it worked not really because of chalipin, not because it's cash, right? It's cash. The reason it worked over here is because I bought it with cash. Because it's not normal for me to buy something with the undefined amount of money where you didn't know where it is. Mar Huna Braid Rav Nachman Rav Ashi. So he said to Rav Ashi, listen. Atun, you said what when Rav Huna said this halacha, Rabba said in the name of Huna that it works with the bag of money, and there is no. And Rav Abba, Rav Huna said it works, but there is no. Okay, the question is there or no or not? Did he agree or not? Is there or no? Like is he mochel or no, whatever? Okay, that's the machlokas. But everybody says it works, and Rav Huna works. You're assuming that it worked. Is it because he holds that Mabbein Asach Levi? He says no. He holds like Rabbi Yochanan. That in Torah you can buy things with money with no mashicha, and the Rabbanan only made gzeira by a normal case, but not a case like this where he gave him cash with an undefined amount of cash, right? So that's your answer. So Marhuna Brei Rachman said to Rav Ashi, you learned it this way that you weren't sure what Rav Huna said, and you said, does Rav Huna hold that Me'beya Nasa Chalipin? No, he doesn't hold Me'beya Nasa Chalipin. This isn't Chalipin. This is a straight purchase, but he holds like Rabbi Yochanan that a straight purchase with cash works. Except over here, they didn't make gzeira because it wasn't a defined amount of money. I learned the favors that Rav Huna said. I heard the favors, and we had back on Amar Aleph, and then Bav Amar Aleph, the what that v'chein Omer Ula Eimat Bayin Asachlipin, v'chein Omer Avasi Eimat Asachlipin, v'chein Omer Abraham Chanom and Rabbi Yochanan Asachlipin. He also has v'chein Omer Rav Huna. So I know for sure that Mapen Nasa Chalipin, and over here it would work only because he also Rabbi Yochanan, and there was no gzeira over here of Yisrael Techavliya. Therefore, it works as a proper kinyan. Now, who gives the item? So how do we do it? The rabbi gives us the handkerchief, right? The rabbi is acquiring our chametz, or our rights to the chametz. We know the whole spiel, right? The rights to sell the chametz and all that, right? He's going to give it to somebody as a shliach, give it to somebody else, but he's acquiring something, and he gives us the kinyan. He gives us the item. Is that how it works? And we know that's how it works because that's how. Or is it the other way that the person who's giving it gives an item? That's going to be the next discussion. We'll pick it up from here tomorrow. Bamek Konan, right halfway down the page, even with Agos Sabach. Pick it up there tomorrow. Have a good day, everybody. Shavua Tov.
Stay safe, everybody. Stay safe.